Estamos con Jeff Foster. Buenos días, Jeff. Good morning, Jeff. Vivir es maravilloso, pero a la vez es algo muy corto. De hecho, uno de los temas recurrentes que hay en la Senda del Reposo es el de la impermanencia. Todos los que hayamos podido construir se esfuma. Te preguntaría qué ventaja evolutiva tiene la temporalidad, la incertidumbre, el hecho de que no sea posible conseguir una estabilidad permanente en este mundo.
It makes life precious, you know, the fact that at any moment we could die and all of this could disappear, our loved ones could disappear. That makes every moment precious. That gives meaning to death. Gives meaning to life, you know. So if we can't face death and impermanence, then we can't truly be alive. And it's at first it can be terrifying to face death, you know, because it's the end of me. But ultimately, that's the liberation. Is that every day is a gift. Every day is a bonus. From the perspective of death, every day is a bonus. So death puts life into. Without facing death, we really can't be alive. We take everything for granted. And as for evolutionary advantage, I don't theorize about these things. I don't know, but I do know that for me, facing death, staring death in the face, has helped me become more alive and more appreciative and just finding so much gratitude for, you know, waking up in the morning. I mean, that's a miracle that we wake up in the morning, and I think we forget that. Especially in our culture. So I think it's important to remember death every day. For me, it's not a negative thing. It's a very uplifting thing. It's a liberating thing to face death. So yeah, we should really spend every day. We should contemplate the impermanence of our lives. We should look our loved ones in the face and know that they may not be here tomorrow, and let it break our hearts. You know, most people do not allow their hearts to break. We have to grieve every day, and it's not a negative thing. The mind, you know, says, "Oh, this is so depressing and negative," but that's the mind's way of not facing it. It's by calling it negative or calling it dark or calling it depressing. It's not. It's really not. If you can face it, and if you can grieve, it draws you into the sacredness of waking up in the morning, brushing your teeth, you know, taking a step outside into the sunlight. You know, it's not just another day. It's a bonus. It's a bonus. It's almost as if you've already died, and oh shit, I get another day. You know, that's sanity to me. That's sanity. You know, but we have to face death, and it's not easy, and it takes some courage, and it means you're going to have to really face your fear and grieve and you know, take so many difficult, intense feelings into yourself and find a way of holding them all. But yeah, facing death certainly makes you more alive in my experience.
Una cosa que nos ocurre en relación con la impermanencia de las cosas, ¿no? Y también la impermanencia de lo bueno y de lo malo. Lo que pasa es que cuando se acaba lo bueno aparecen cosas que nos motivan dolores, y esto nos motiva a quejarnos. No sé cómo lo ves, porque hay como, de algún modo, en el ámbito religioso se ha hablado de que Dios es amor y de que nos ama. Y claro, en el momento en que ocurren cosas que no nos gustan, no nos cuadra con el hecho de un Dios amoroso. Y entonces nos volvemos o contra Dios o contra la vida. Entonces yo te preguntaría cómo podemos vivir la vida sin quejarnos.
I don't think the goal is to live life without complaining. I think sometimes it's very healthy to cry out to God, why is this happening? Like, I'm in pain and it doesn't make sense. I don't think I don't think the goal is to live life without complaining. It doesn't sound healthy to me. Witness Jesus on the cross. In his in the midst of his pain, he cries out, "Father, why have you forsaken me?" And that was incredibly healthy to express his anger. Jesus was not living a life without complaint. He was so liberated, so free, so present that deep, that beautiful call of anger could be expressed. That had to be expressed in him. So that was a massive complaint. Father, why have you abandoned me? But it had to be expressed because that was also life. I think the mind has all these ideas of what a peaceful life, a liberated life, an enlightened life is, and one of these ideas is, we should never complain, we should never be angry, we should never, and it's Jesus was the biggest complainer of all at the end. Father, God, why have you abandoned me? And that was necessary. That needed to be expressed in him. It wasn't who he really was, that wave of anger, but it just wanted to. It was also life. It was also sacred. That wasn't a mistake. So I don't think living a life without complaining, it sounds very healthy to me. I think people who try not to complain just end up bottling it up, and they're full of anger, and it moves into the unconscious, and it ends up controlling their lives because they think, I'm not allowed to complain, I'm not allowed to be angry, I'm not allowed to judge, I'm not, all these spiritual ideas. I think it's very dangerous. Because all of life has a place in us, the fear, the anger, the joy, everything, it just wants to move through. And really that's what my book is about, that's what all my work is about. It's just honouring all of life, to lose all these second-hand ideas of what freedom is, what peace is, what enlightenment is, so complain. There's freedom in complaining, consciously.
Jeff, siguiendo uno de los temas del libro, que son las cosas que no nos gustan de nosotros mismos o de otras personas, ¿cómo propones abordar esto?
Depends on who I'm talking to. You see, I don't have a teaching. You see, this is the problem. It's always very spontaneous in the moment, depending on who I'm talking to. So I can never say what I would say to someone, how I would tell someone to deal with something. I don't have any theories, ideas, any system. I would listen very deeply to the person in front of me and respond from a place of listening, of presence. Just to go back to the previous question, if I was talking to someone who, as you said, who had just lost a child, and their heart was broken, and they were feeling, for example, deep waves of grief and anger. And if you ask me how would I deal, what would I say to someone like that? The truth is, I have no idea. I have no idea. If I go in with any preconceived idea, if I go in with a teaching, if I go in as the expert, if I go in with the answers, if I go in with a theory, with a teaching, then I'm not really meeting them. I'm not really listening, and that's my way of protecting myself from life, and I don't want to do that. So I don't know. People ask me what would you say to this person? How would you deal with that? How can I know? I'm not an expert. I sometimes maybe this person who had lost a child, just for example, I may find myself just holding them. I may find myself crying with them. I might find myself getting angry with them. I might find myself staying silent and just listening while they fall apart. There's no teaching, If I go in as the expert, as the teacher, I find an arrogance in that. I find a lack of willingness to really meet them in the depths of their experience. So it's very difficult sometimes to answer some of these abstract questions about how, what would I say, or what advice would I give, or how would I deal with someone. I have no idea. I have no idea. I find the right actions, the right words emerge in the moment. I mean, this book it's not a book of how to deal with different situations in your life. The passages in this book, the writing in this book, emerged from that very deep place of not knowing, of presence. So, I mean, to be honest, it's very difficult. I can barely remember what I wrote in this book. I mean, it's almost as if I didn't really sit down to write it. It wrote itself. So, I don't give advice. I never know until I truly meet someone, that specific person in that specific situation, in that specific moment. I've never seen myself as a teacher, in that sense, or an expert, or a therapist, or anything like that. I'm just I seem to live in this place of not knowing,
Pero sí que propones un espacio como de aceptación o de inclusión de todos los aspectos de nosotros mismos.
Yeah, I guess it's knowing who we truly are. Prior to the words, the thoughts, the concepts, the ideas. I guess language makes it so difficult. But prior to perspectives, I wouldn't say this is my opinion or this is my perspective. I don't have an agenda. I don't think this is the truth, the only truth. But it's it's sharing who we truly are. Presence itself, life itself, and even those are just words. Even those are concepts, words.